This conference will now be recorded.
Fine. Let's start the session. Let me go and open the course content. So now in today's class, uh, we'll go and discuss about uh, the admin part sketch. So we're done with the development. So next three hours, we'll discuss about the admin activities. So in today's class, we'll try to understand what is meant by environment, uh, what is the need of it. Also, we'll discuss about how to create an environment. Then we'll discuss about the different types of environments. And also, we'll understand one more point called managed environments and then unmanaged environments. Along with this, we'll understand one more point called licenses. The different types of Power Apps licenses we'll have. These two topics we'll discuss now in today's class. So in order to go and work with them, first let me go and open one notepad. Let me go and open one notepad. Fine. First in today's class, we'll try to understand the different types of licenses, Power Apps license. So if you want to go and work with the Power App software, we need to buy some licenses from the Microsoft company. So first point we'll try to understand now in today's class is what? Power Apps licenses. So now we have the different types of licenses in Power Apps. So what are the different types of license we'll have? One is per app plan. Second one is per user plan. This per user plan also called as a premium license. This per user plan also called as what? Premium license. And also there is one more called pay as you go. These are the three different types of licenses we'll have for Power Apps. First one is what? Per app. Second is what? Per user. Third one is what? Pay as you go. So now let me discuss one by one here, guys. First, let me go and discuss about per app plan. Now try to understand what is this per app plan means. First point, the cost of this per app plan is $5. The cost of this per app plan is $5. So cost is $5 for one user per app per month. Let's take there is one user. This user is using one app. This user is using one app. So for 1 month, for this user, we need to pay how many dollars? $5. Suppose think that this user is using the two apps. So how many dollars we need to pay? For one app, we need to pay $5. Two apps the user is using. So we need to pay how many dollars? $10. So what is the cost of this license is $5 per user per app for 1 month. So when I go with this plan, you are able to create only one app, guys. One user can create how many apps? Only one app. So in the name it is telling per app plan. So per app, for single app, what is the amount we need to pay to the Microsoft? So is the cost $5 per user per app per month. That means how many apps the users can create is the users can create only one app. The users can create how many apps? One app and one portal. Portal means Power Pages. The user can create one app or one portal. Portal means Power Pages. So when I go with this per app plan, how many apps you can create means only one app for 1 month. And what's the cost of it? $5 per user. And next, how many when I go with this per app plan, this per app plan can connect to premium connectors. What is meant by connectors, you'll understand by the end of this today's class. I'll discuss about these connectors also. So this premium plan can also connect to what? Premium connectors. And also when I go with this per app plan, what is the dataverse capacity you'll get? You'll get the dataverse database capacity of 50 MB. You'll get Dataverse database capacity of what? 50 MB. That means you can store up to 50 MB data in the Dataverse. And also you'll get the Dataverse file capacity. How much file capacity you'll get? 400 MB. So these are by default you'll get, guys. If you go with this license per app plan, you'll get the 50 MB Dataverse database and 400 MB file capacity you'll get. So this is what the per app plan. So when I go with this per app plan, uh, for 1 month, how many apps you can create? Only one app. Let's take there is one user. This user can create only one app. So if the user wants to create another one more app, they need to pay another $5 more. For one app, $5. Two apps means $10 they need to pay. This is what the per app plan. Only one app you can create with this license. If you want to create another one more app, you need to go and increase the amount to what? $10. And next one is what? Per user plan. This one also called as what? Premium license. Second one is per user plan, or we'll call it as a premium license. Now what's the cost of this license? Cost of this license is $20 per user per month. Let's take there is one user. Now what is the amount you need to pay for this user for 1 month? $20. Now how many apps the user can create means the users can create multiple apps and portals. So when I go with this per user plan, that is premium, you need to pay $20 per 1 month for one user. But how many apps the user can create means unlimited. Guess. There is no limit. A number of apps the users can create. So mostly in the real-time scenarios, we'll go with the premium license only per user plan. Why? Because if there is a company means the company will go and create the multiple apps, no doubt in that. So here for one user, $20 we need to pay per month. So how many apps you can create? Multiple apps and portals. And next, this premium license also can connect to premium connectors. With this license also we are able to connect to what? Premium connectors. And what is the Dataverse database capacity you will get with this license? By default, when I go with the premium license, you will get the Dataverse database capacity of 250 MB. And what's the file capacity you will get? 2 GB. Dataverse file capacity you will get 2 GB. This is what the per user plan. Most of the times in the real time scenarios, we'll go and use the per user plan. Is the premium license. Why? Because here we'll pay $20 per user. But how many apps you can create? Multiple apps. There is no limit. N number of apps you can create here with this license. But when I go with this license, you can create how many apps? Only one app per month for one user. So most of the times we'll go with this license only per user plan. And next there is another one more, pay as you go. So very rare cases we'll use it, guys. Very rare cases. So what is the amount for this? What's the cost? $10 per active user for 1 month per app. So when we need to go and use this pay as you go means, let's take there are 100 users is there. 100 users is there. All the 100 users will not active in every month. I will buy the license for all the users. 100 license I will buy. I'll give that license to all the users. But we don't need to pay the amount to the Microsoft for all the 100 users for every month. Which user is active? Which user is active on that month? For that user only we need to pay the amount. So we need to pay $10 per user per month. How many apps you can create? Here also you can create only one app, guys. There is another one disadvantage here. You can create only one app. So the users can create only one app. And this pay as you go also will connect to what? Premium connectors. And what is the Dataverse database capacity you'll get? 1 GB. When I go with pay as you go, you'll get 1 GB Dataverse database capacity. So these are the three different types of licenses we'll have. One is what? Per app plan. So what is the cost of this? $5. So per month per app. So second one is what? Per user plan, called as a premium license, $20 per month per user. How many apps you can create? Multiple apps. It can connect to premium connectors. What's the database capacity you'll get? 250. File capacity you'll get what? 2 GB. And pay as you go, $10 per active user per month. But how many apps you can create? Only one app. So if you want to create one more app means you need to pay $20 per app. $10. Two apps means $20. Three apps, $30. So that is why most of the companies in the real-time scenarios, they'll go with what license? Per user license. That is called as premium license. So these are the three different types of licenses we'll have. So now among these three licenses, as I said that most of the times we'll go and use this one case, per user plan. But see, when I go with this license, you'll have the access for only Power Apps. You'll have the access for only what? Power Apps. Let's take if you go with only Power Apps, you are able to create the apps means no. You are not able to complete the app. So you need to have the data source. You need to have the Outlook. You need to have the OneDrive. You need to have the SharePoint. So if you go and use this license per user, you have only Power Apps license. Any of these three license, if you go and use, you'll get only Power Apps license. Let's take, I want to get the SharePoint license also, as my company is using the SharePoint. Then how I can get the SharePoint? With these licenses, you are not able to get the SharePoint. So as these are the three licenses we'll have for Power Apps, but most of the times in the real-time scenarios, we don't use it. In the real-time scenarios, companies won't use them. So what licenses the companies will use here is, there is something called Microsoft 365 E3 and E5 license. Microsoft E3 and E5 licenses. So these are the most commonly used license in the real-time scenarios, guys. So if you go with this license, you can go with it, but you can create the Power App, but you are not able to connect to the remaining Microsoft connectors like SharePoint, Outlook, Teams. You are not able to access them. So as if you are working with the Power Platform, then no doubt you will go and use the remaining Microsoft components also. So instead of going and using these licenses, most of the companies will go and use what license means? Microsoft 365 E3 and E5 license. Now what is this E3 and E5 license? I'll give some reference. If you want, you can go and explore more. You can go to the Google and go and search for Microsoft E3 and E5 licenses. You can search for this, and somewhere you can get this case. Compare Microsoft 365 Enterprise licenses E3 and E5. When I go and select this, I think you can see here what are the benefits you'll get. So Microsoft 365 applications. So you can see here there are E3, E5, and one more is F3. So we don't use the F3 as it is not most effective. Most of the times we'll go with, companies will go with E3 license or E5 license, guys. They'll go with these licenses. So if you want to explore more, you can go and take this one as a reference. You can go to the Google and you can see here what are the different types of components you'll get. When I go to the E3 license, these are the different Microsoft applications you can use here. These are the different types of Microsoft applications you can use. But when I go to the E5 license, these are the different applications you can use. So there may be some difference will be there, guys. I think what difference we can find out here. I think, see, when I go to the E3, when I go to the E3 license, here you are not able to get the Power BI. So there is no Power BI license here in the E3. But here in the E5, you have the Power BI Pro license is there. So like this, there are few differences will be there. So try to go and explore your by your own. What is meant by E3 and E5 licenses? What are the difference between them? So you can take the help from Google. Most of the times in the real-time scenarios, we'll use this any one of these two. If they ask you in the interviews what license you used in your previous project, means tell them either E3 or E5. Before going to answer this question, please go and Google it once. What is the difference between E3 and E5 licenses? Fine. So we understand, as these are the different licenses we have in Power Apps, only for Power Apps, but we don't use only Power Apps to develop the apps, as remaining Microsoft components also will use. So instead of going with these licenses, now companies will go with either E3 or E5 license. Fine. So these are the applications you can access with the E3, and these are the applications you can access with E5. Next, fine. Okay. We know that what the different types of licenses will have, but most of the times companies will use the E3 and E5 license. So for our practice also, whatever the licenses you are using, those are the E5 licenses, guys. Whatever the licenses I shared with you, those are the E5 licenses. And next, the next point to understand now in today's class is what? Environment. The most important topic is. So it will come some admin activities. So today, tomorrow, and day after tomorrow, we'll discuss about the admin activities. Now try to understand what is meant by environment now. So what is an environment is, uh, when we start any Power Apps project, we will create an environment for that project, guys. Not only Power Apps, any Power Platform project, either Power Apps, Power Automate, Power Pages, or Power Virtual Agent, any Power Platform project. When we start any Power Apps or a Power Platform project, we will create an environment for that project. Now, why we need to create an environment? before going to start the Power Apps or a Power Platform project case. I'm telling that before going to, when we start any Power Apps or a Power Platform project, we'll create an environment. Before going to start the project, first we need to create an environment. Now, what is the need of creating environments means? Environment is the place where we will create the multiple apps, flows means Power Automate flows, components, data sources, chartboards, power pages, etc. Whatever you are using in that app, whatever the things you are going to use that to create that app or to create that project. So in the if there is a project means no doubt we'll use the apps. No doubt we'll go and create some flows. We'll use some components. We'll connect to some data sources. There are some cases where we'll create some chartboards. So all this, the place where we will go and create the multiple apps, flows, components, data sources, chartboards, power pages, everything we'll create within where? Environment. So environment is the place where we will create the multiple apps, flows, components, data sources, chartboards, power pages, variables, collections, whatever you are creating. All the things, whatever you are going to use to develop the app, where we need to create all this within the environment. So why we need to go and create the apps and app components, flows, everything within the environment? Because it is easy to manage and share the apps to the users. So once if you create an app, so security is also important, guys. Security is also important nowadays. So once if you create an app, to whom you want to share the app, to whom you want to give the access, to whom you want to cancel the access, how secretly you want to store your apps, you need to maintain some security there. So keeping in mind the security, better to go and create the apps and app components, everything within where? Environment. So why we need to go and create the apps and app components, flows, everything within the environment means because it is easy to manage and share the apps to the users. For management purpose and sharing purpose, it is easy for the admins case. Easily the admins can share and manage the apps and app components within the Power Platform. So for easy manage and sharing purpose, we need to go and get everything within the environment. And next, one more point you need to understand. Whenever you create an environment in Power Apps, each environment will have one Dataverse database. Whenever you create an environment, for that environment, by default, uh, it will go and create one Dataverse database case. Whenever if you create an environment, by default for that environment, it will create one database for Dataverse. Dataverse database it will create. I'll show you what is the databases it will create. So this is what's been my environment case. First point, you understand what? When to create the environments. Whenever if you want to start any Power Apps or a Power Platform project, before going to start the project, we need to create an environment. Why we need to create the environment before going to start the project? Because environment is the place where we need to go and create the apps, flows, chartboards, data sources, etc. Why we need to go and create the apps and flows, app components within the environment means because it is easy to manage and share the apps to the users. And whenever you create an environment, by default it will create one database. Fine. And next one is types of environments. Types of environment. Now we have the different types of environments in Power Apps case. These are the different types we'll have. Trial environment, developer environment, sandbox environment, production environment, and default. So these are the different types of environments we'll have. Let me discuss one by one now. First, let me go and discuss about the trial environment. So there is one trial you can use, guys. Trial environment. You can use it for 30 days. How many days you can access the trial environment? 30 days. So whatever you are able to do when I go with the paid licenses, whatever the development you can do, development activities, admin activities, whatever we can do with the help of paid license, the same you can do with this trial license also, but it is active for only 30 days. If you want to test anything, if you want to test any capabilities, you can go and test it in the trial. So trial environment is just like a paid environment. How we'll have the paid licenses, same the trial also will work, but it is only for 30 days. So first point, you'll understand what this environment is used for short-term testing purpose. I just said that whenever if you want to test any components in the app, you can go and use the trial environment. Whatever the things we'll have in the paid licenses, the same you will have in the trial also. you can use it for short-term testing purpose. And next one is, next point you need to understand, this environment will automatically cleaned after the trial period. That means after 30 days, whatever the things you developed in this trial environment, automatically it will be cleaned. That means it will delete. You are not able to access them after 30 days. And next, how many trial environments you can create? One trial environment for one user. How many trial environments we can create means only one trial environment for one user. So this is what the trial environment is for only 30 days. It is short-term testing purpose. Once after 30 days, whatever the development you did in the trial environment, it will automatically delete. So how many trial environments we can create? Only one trial environment we can create for one user. And next one is developer environment, guys. Next type of environment is what? Developer. Now see, uh, this environment is created by the users, which is used for development purpose. That means not in the real-time scenarios, not for development. We can say that when we need to go and create the developer environment means it is also free case. You don't want to pay an amount for the developer environment, but uh, this developer environment is not for development purpose. It is for, it is this developer environment, it is used to develop and explore any concepts. Not it is possible to develop or explore any concepts here, but you are not able to share those apps to the developers or to the users. That means this is for only for development. If you want to explore any new concepts, or let's say one new feature is available in Power Apps, if you want to explore that feature, you can go to the developer environment. So this developer environment for what? Explore any concepts. You can explore here. Whatever the things you are developing in the developer environment, you are not able to show or share it to the users. Not able to share the apps from developer environment to what? To users. If you want to share the apps from development environment to the users means it is not possible. It is just for exploring purpose. If there is any new features come in, or if you want to test any feature, it is for only for testing or not for testing also. It is to explore the new concepts. It is for practice, we can say, just for practice. Nowhere in the real time scenarios we won't create the developer environment. Developer environment is used, it is created by the users. We can create it, which is used for exploring the new concepts. And next uh, sandbox environment. Third one is what? Sandbox. This sandbox is also called as a non-production environment, guys. Sandbox is also called as what? Non-production environment. Now try to understand what is the use of this sandbox environment means. In this environment, we can develop the apps, we can test the apps, or once after testing, if there is any modifications, you can update the apps and configure the apps without affecting the main application. So this sandbox environment is for development purpose. If you want to develop the apps, where we can develop in the sandbox. And the sandbox environment is also for what? Testing purpose. If you want to test the apps, where we can test in the sandbox. And once after testing, if there is any modifications you want to do, where we can modify in the sandbox only. So this sandbox environment is for development and for testing purpose. So this sandbox it is used for only for development testing. Oh, or also one more point I'm keeping here clearly. Sandbox is for what? To develop the apps and to test the apps. Whenever if you want to start create any project, first go, I said that go and create an environment. Now what type of environment you want to create here? The environment type must and should be sandbox. Environment must and should be sandbox in the real time. But for practice, you need to create the developer. So for practice, you are not able to create the sandbox environment, guys. To create the sandbox environment, you need to have the proper licenses. Whatever the licenses you are using, those are the trial licenses. So you are not able to create the sandbox environment. So in the real-time scenarios, I said that whenever to start the project, create an environment. What environment we need to create? Sandbox. So first we will create a sandbox environment for development. Once the development is done, we'll create another one more sandbox environment for what? Testing. Once the testing is done, then finally we'll move that app to what? Production environment. So keep in mind, before you understand about the production environment, sandbox is for development purpose and testing purpose. And next, another one more environment is what? Production now. What is this production environment? Now try to understand. This environment is used to deploy the final apps case. Final apps means once the app is developed in the dev environment and then it is tested, and then finally we move that apps to what? Production environment. So this environment is used to deploy the final apps. So in the production environment, this production environment is not for development and testing. Once if you move the apps to the production environment, we can just make use of them. You are not able to do any modifications. You are not able to do any development and testing. If you want to develop the app, go to which environment? Sandbox. If you want to test also, go and create another one more sandbox. Production is for only to make it as live, just to go and use it. In the production environment, you are not able to develop, you are not able to test. You want to develop and test means go to the sandbox environment. So most of the times in the real-time scenarios, we'll go and use this two environments case. In the development stage, for development purpose, we'll create one sandbox environment, and for testing purpose, we'll create another one more sandbox environment. So here we'll test it. Here we'll develop the apps. Once after development, we'll move them to test, and then once the testing is done, we'll move them to what? Production. So once if you move them into production, in the production not able to develop and test, it is live. We are able to just make use of them. So this is what's the sandbox and production environment. Mostly in the real time, we'll go and use this two only. And next there is another one more environment called what? Default environment. So what is this default means? This is the default environment which is automatically created by the Power Apps. That means whenever if you go and add one license for Power Apps, if you create a Power Apps license, automatically Power Apps itself will go and create one default environment. It will go and create one environment that is what? Default environment. Yes. We don't want to create it. Whenever if you create one license for Power Apps, automatically it will create one environment that is what? Default environment. And now let me go and open the Power Apps. Let me show you what is meant by environment. What is this by default? Which environment it will connect? It will connect to the default. How to create a sandbox environment? How to create a production environment? We'll discuss now. Let me go and open the Power Apps now. Let me go and open the Power Apps. Fine guys. Whenever you open the Power Apps, on the top right side you can see something called what? Environment. On the top you can see something called what? Environment. You can see here on the top right side, environment. So by default, whenever you create any license for Power Apps or a Power Platform, it will create one default environment. Now see, it is connected to what environment by default? It is connected to the default environment. Yes. As I said that there is one default environment, right? Automatically will create by the Power Apps. So by default, your app will go and connect to which environment means default. You can see here is the default environment. By default, Power Apps will go and connect to what environment? Default. So it is not recommended to go and use the default environment. Yes. Make sure that it is not recommended to go and use the default environment. So why it is not recommended means it is also not the paid one. It is a free. So whatever you are free environments is there. If you are creating an app in the free environment, what I said, you are not able to share those to the users. So it is not recommended to go and use the default environment. Always try to create your own environment. Either it will be a sandbox environment or a production environment. Yes. Sandbox is environment for what? Development and test. Production environment for live, where we can keep the final apps. Now how to create an environment? Now go to the settings. Go to the settings. There is an option called admin center. Go to the admin center. Go to what? Admin center, Power Apps admin center. So when I click on it, it will take you to the Power Platform admin center. Yes. It will take you to what? Power Platform admin center. Fine. Power Platform Admin Center. Now in this there is a tab called what? Environments. Go to the environment. When I go to the environments, here you can see that environments, guys. Already, as we know that by default it will create one environment, that is default environment. Type is what? Default. So there is another one more environment someone is created. So now I want to create new environment, guys. Let me remove it. Let me remove the old one, whatever it is there. I'll show you how to create one new environment now. I said that whenever if you want to go and start any Power Apps or a Power Platform project, we need to create an environment, right? So first, before going to start the project, go and create the environment. Click on confirm. Let me delete this environment. It will take some time. The status is running, so it will remove. So now, to create an environment, first go to the Power Platform Admin Center, go to the environment, and then go and click on what? New. When I go to the new, here you can create an environment, new environment. Now let me pass the name of that environment, guys. Whatever the name it is, let me keep here the dev environment. Let me pass the name as what? Dev environment. And then what is this? Make this as a managed environment. You'll understand. The next concept I will discuss about managed environment, guys. So now first pass the name of that environment and then scroll down. Here group means it is a security group. For now ignore it. For now ignore it. It comes under the Microsoft 365 admin activities. And next region, you want to create an environment for which region? Based on your client is from which region? You need to select the region here. So as we are in India, by default is taking the Indian region. And then scroll down. Here you need to select the type, environment type. So when I click on it, you can see here trial environment, developer, production, trial and sandbox. So now, as I said that in the real-time scenarios, here the name is dev, but you need to select the environment type as what? Sandbox. In the real time, it is sandbox. But now for our here, I'm not able to create the sandbox. If I select the sandbox, when I click on save, it will throw us an error. It will throw us an error. Why? Because I don't have the paid license. If you have the paid licenses, then only you are able to get the sandbox. So for our testing purpose, as I said that if you want to do any development, go and use the developer environment. Go and select the developer environment. Select the type as developer. But in the real time scenarios, make sure that you need to select what? Sandbox. And next, once after selecting the type, scroll down and then go and click on what? Next. Click on the next button. And then here you can see language. You can select the language for that environment. There are different languages will be there. Based on your client requirement, you can select the language. Mostly will go with the universal language called English. And then currency. For billing point of view, you can select the currency. Your client is from which region or your which country, you can select appropriate currency here. For now, we'll go with the India and then scroll down. There is an option called deploy sample apps and data. What is this deploy sample apps and data? You'll be understanding in the not tomorrow, day after tomorrow class. You'll understand this. What is this deploy sample apps and data? And next, go and click on what? Save. When I click on save, now it is going to create one environment. The environment name is what? Dev. Environment name is what? Dev. So this is the name. What type of environment is? Developer. Status is what? Preparing. Status is what? Preparing. So let me refresh it once. When I refresh, and now see this environment status is ready. This environment status is ready. Now the environment is ready. I'm creating one environment, dev environment. Now once the environment is created, go to Power Apps. Go to Power Apps. Refresh it once. Refresh the Power App, and then go to the environments. By default is connected to the default. Let me select this. You can see the dev environment here, guys. Whatever the environment you created here, you can see that environment here. Select the dev environment. Select the environment called what? Dev. So once after connecting to the dev environment, now you can start creating the apps. So always make sure whenever if you want to start any Power Apps project, so in our classes directly we are creating the apps from here, guys. So make sure that whenever if you want to start any Power Apps project or a Power Platform, go and create a separate environment for that project, guys. First we need to start with the dev. Once the development is done, we need to create another environment for test and then another one more for production. You'll understand about this in the day after tomorrow class. I'll discuss about the deployment pipeline. When I'm discussing about the deployment pipeline configurations, there you'll understand it. So for now, keep in mind, whenever if you want to start any Power Apps or a Power Platform project, we need to create a separate environment for that. Here I'm creating the dev environment, and then you can create the app. Same. How you will create the apps, you can create the same apps here. Fine. So this is what how to go and create a environment, guys. Once after creating the environment, how to connect to the environments, it's shown you. First, go to the Power Platform Admin Center, create the environment, go to the Power Apps, go to this, select the environment name. So sometimes it will take some time to display that new environment here in the Power Apps. So please be patient, guys. Maybe it will take some 5 minutes also sometimes. So maximum 5 minutes it will take to display that environment here. So please be patient. Once after selecting the environment, and then now you can go and start creating the app. Now I am connecting the dev environment. From the dev environment, I can create the apps now. So this is what how to create an environment. What are the different types of environments we'll have. Once after creating an environment here in the Power Platform Admin Center, now go to Power Apps. How to connect to the environment. So by default, whenever you open the Power Apps, it will connect to what environment? Default. It will connect to which environment? Default. It is not recommended to go and use the default environment in the real-time scenarios. Fine. Okay. We understand about what is meant by environment, when to create, what is the need of creating the environment, and we discussed about how to create it and how to connect to the environment. And next point we need to understand, in the environments there is something called managed environment and unmanaged environment. One of the important concept in the older versions of Power Apps, this concept is not there, but in the latest versions from last 8 months to 1 year, I think 1 year onwards, this concept is there. 1 year back itself, they come up with new concept called managed and unmanaged environment. Now, what is meant by managed? What is meant by unmanaged environment? So, what is the difference between these two? Try to understand. First, we'll discuss about the unmanaged, and then we'll discuss about managed. Now try to understand what is this unmanaged environment, guys. What is meant by unmanaged environment? Important point, you will get some questions in the interviews, please try to understand. So by default, when we create an environment, it is an unmanaged environment, guys. By default, whenever you create an environment, it is unmanaged. Now see, we created one environment here, right? We create one environment here, right? Dev environment, it is unmanaged. I'll show you. So keep in mind, by default, whenever if you go and create an environment, by default, whenever if you go and create an environment, it is unmanaged. The type of that environment is what? Unmanaged environment. Okay, fine. We understand. Whenever if you go and create one environment, it is unmanaged. And next, now second point you need to understand. If we create an app in unmanaged environment, let's say in the unmanaged environment, if you create an app, if that app is connected to standard data source, standard data sources means, let's take SharePoint is one of the standard data sources. If you create an app in the unmanaged environment, if that app is connected to the standard data source like SharePoint, then if we share that app to any user, then the user need to have any per app or a premium license to view that app means no, not required. So try to understand. Whenever if you create an environment, dev environment we created, by default that environment is what? Unmanaged. If you create an app in the unmanaged environment, if that app is connected to the standard data source like SharePoint, then if we share that app to any one of the user, then the user no need to have any premium or a per app license to view that app. It is free. If the environment is unmanaged, in that unmanaged environment, if you create an app, if that app is connected to the standard data source like SharePoint, then if you share that app to any user, that user doesn't require any license to view that app. Freely they can go and use it. This is what's meant this is what is meant by unmanaged. Now what is meant by managed? What is meant by managed? Now try to understand. Managed environments will allow the admins to manage the Power Platform components very easily. So by default, the environment is unmanaged. Better to make that unmanaged environment to managed environment, guys. Better to make it as managed. Why? Because unmanaged environment will allow the admins to manage the Power Platform components very easily. For managing, for security, keeping in mind the security, due to some security reasons, always make sure that whatever the environment you created, you need to make that environment is managed. By default is unmanaged, make it as a managed environment. Make it as what? Managed environment. And one more point you need to understand, if the environment is managed, if the environment is managed environment, then if you share that app from the managed environment to any user, that user need to have the premium license case. Let's say you created one environment that is managed environment. In that managed environment you are creating an app. If you share that app to any user, that user must and should need to have what license? Premium license. That is one of the drawback in managed case. We don't say it is a drawback, it is an added advantage. When coming to the cost point of view, it is somewhat drawback. But coming to the security, it is more advantage. Mostly managed environment is for security. So in the managed environment, if you create an app, if you share that app to any user, that user must and should need to have what license? Premium license to create that, to access that app or to view that app. Now let me show you. I said that by default, if you create an environment, it is unmanaged. Let me show you whether it is managed or unmanaged. We created one environment, right? Dev environment. Now see, this environment is managed or unmanaged? Is the environment name? Type is what? Developer. Status is what? Ready. Dataverse is what? Yes. And then managed. This environment is managed?
No.
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 No. By default is not managed. So how to make the environment is managed? By default is not managed. I said that about what is meant by unmanaged. Now I want to make this unmanaged environment to managed. Now to make it as unmanaged environment to managed, select the environment. There is an option here called what? Enable managed environment. From here you can use, or select the environment, go to the three ellipses, select what? Enable managed environment. Select this, enable managed environment, click on it. When I select this, now see, enable managed environment. First point, it is telling what? Increase visibility and control. Controlling means what? Security. The main reason we need to make the environments as managed means to keep in mind the security. And next, second, one more, as I mentioned, the control is first priority. Second one is what? I said that if you share an app from the managed environment to any user, that user also need to have what license? Premium license. Same point they are mentioning here also. If you observe, the same point they are mentioning here, guys. If you go here, what is telling? Licensing details. All users in managed environment must have Power Apps, Power Automate, or Microsoft 365 license with what? Premium usages. Either it is only Power Apps license, or it is you are using it is a Power Automate license, or any license it is, it must and should be a premium. Whoever the users you are going to add to this environment, all those users must and should need to have what license? Premium license. No doubt in that. And next, there is something called auto claim policy. This auto claim policy comes under the costing point of view. Just ignore it. So as we are not going to deep about what is the amount we are paying to the Microsoft, as a developer we don't involve on those much. Just ignore. And next, there is something called managed sharing. It is important feature. What is this managed sharing? Managed sharing is nothing but it will help reduce the risk and keep data secure by limiting how widely apps flows, Microsoft 365 Copilot, everything whatever it is can be shared. So what this managed sharing will do, in the name it is saying managed sharing. So it will reduce or it will restrict how widely you want to share your app. So you can set some limit here. You want to add how many users to the environment. Let's take you, I want to add only 10 users, not more than that. You can set the limit 10. It will allows only 10 users. If you add more than 10, it doesn't allows. So what is this managed sharing means? It is used to restrict how widely we need to share the app to the users. So by default, it is selected what? Don't set any limit default. So let me select this one, exclude sharing with limit group. So you can set the limit here. Click on this checkbox. Now you can set the limit, how widely you want to share this canvas, or how widely you want, how many users you want to add to this environment, to the dev environment.
Vedant, that
uh,
uncle is saying something. That uncle is talking, right?
who is someone is unmuted, who is that one?
Sorry, sir, it's by mistake. It's me.
Okay, fine. So please be unmute. So manage sharing. So you can set the limit, how many users you want to add to the environment, either 10, 20. So number you can add. There is no limit. You can add 100, you can add 1000, you can add 10,000. How many users you want to add to that environment, you can set that limit here, so that you can understand. Or if you set some limit here, let's take you are setting the limit as 10, so that you can add only 10 users to this environment. It is not possible to add more than that. So it is used, this option is used to restrict how widely we need to share the canvas app. So by default it will be 20. I don't want to set a limit here. In the real-time scenarios we need to set the limit. Let me select don't set a limit. And next there is something called solution checker. What is this solution checker? You will understand then day before tomorrow's class, guys. When I'm discussing about the deployment, there you'll understand about the solution checker. So for now just ignore it. What is meant by solution checker, what it will do, you'll understand. But let me explain at a high level. Let's say whenever you are moving the apps from development to test, whenever you are moving the apps from development to test and from test to production environment, so we need to select the solution checker enforcement. What it will do means automatically verify the solution checker results for security and reliability issues before solution is going to be imported. So first of all, you need to understand what's meant by solution here. In the tomorrow's class, I'll discuss. For now, try to understand. When I move the apps from development to test environment, at the time when I am moving the apps from development to test, if there is any errors in my app, then if you want to go and stop it, means if there is any errors in the app, if it is found when I'm moving the apps from development to test, then I don't want to move the test environment. I want to stop them. If you want to stop, go and select block. Go and click on block. Block means what? Check for security and reliability issues in the solution checker results. If there is any error is there, block the solution for being imported if the critical issue was found. If there is any critical issue is found when moving the apps from development to test, stop it. When I select block, it will stop it. It doesn't move the apps from development to test. If there is no errors, it will move. Let's take if I select warning. If I select warning, that means what? When I move the apps from development to test environment, so what it will do? Check for security reliability issues in the solution checker results, but do not stop, but do not block solution to import. It doesn't stop moving the apps from development to test, but it will identify some error. If there is any errors, it will identify those errors. It doesn't stop moving. This is what meant by warn. None means turn off the solution checker while moving the apps from development to test. uh, if there is any errors, it doesn't check the app, simply it will move. So this is what is the use of solution checker, guys. By default it is warn. Mostly we'll keep it as warn. Sometimes if it is required, we'll go and keep it as block. So because what is the use of the solution checker? While moving the apps from development to test or test to production, when I'm moving the apps from development to test, if there is any errors in the app, if you want to block that apps to move to the test environment, means go and click on block here, select the block. Or if you don't want to stop them, if you can move them to test, but I want to identify what errors will be there, so go and click on warn. It is up to you. This is what's meant by solution checker enforcement. And next, there is something called usage insight. This usage insights is for, it will send the weekly report to the admins regarding how many users are active, how much time they are spending in the environment. So regarding this, they'll just randomly generate some report and it will send to the admin just for viewing purpose. And next there is something called maker welcome content. Maker welcome content means provide customized welcome content to help makers and get started using Power Apps. That means, let's say whenever if you go and start creating any app, let's say if you start creating any app, when I click on create, it will open the Power App Studio. Yes or no? It will open the Power App Studio. Whenever it open the Power App Studio, so this one we'll call it as maker welcome content. So it is just to give some information to the user. Welcome to Power App Studio. You can design this type of maker content, guys. So here it is a Power Apps. Power Apps is keeping this UI. Let's take whatever the apps you created. Whenever the user come to the open that app for the first time, you need to keep some welcome window like this. This is what the use of this maker welcome content. If you want to keep any text here, you can keep. And next there is something called enable AI generated features. It is for AI features. It is in the preview. Just ignore right now. And there is something called data policy. Data policies is for Dataverse, not for Power Apps. It is completely for Dataverse concepts. So as we are not going to discuss about Dataverse concepts, when we start any Dataverse concepts, they will discuss about the data policies. It is a huge concept, guys. Data policies is not a small concept, huge concept. So it will complete comes under admin activities, not for the development admin. So just ignore it. So now go and click on what? Enable. So what I'm doing here, I'm making this environment as what? Managed. So while managing, we need to check all these things. Now go and click on what? Enable. When I click on enable, and now see this environment previously is not managed. Now it is what? It is managed environment. So and also whenever you are creating an app, whenever you are creating an environment, here itself you can make it as a managed or unmanaged. By default, I'm not making it as managed. Here you can mark make this environment is a managed. When I select this, then automatically it will make it as a managed environment. When I click on developer, click on next, save. So by default, whenever I create an environment now, at the time of creating the environment itself, I'm making it as what? Managed. So it will take some time, maybe. Test environment, it is preparing. Once it is ready, you can see here, Dataverse file yes, managed also yes. So maybe it will take some time. Just refresh it once. Status is ready. Dataverse capacity I'm getting, but it is not managed. I'm selecting that option, but still not. Why? Let me refresh it once, one more time. Still it is not. Let me select this. Then what is the use of this option they are keeping here? Make this is a managed environment, turn on. So somehow it need to work, guys. So when I turn on it, by default, whenever if I create an environment, it need to make it as a managed environment. Somehow it is not allowing. Maybe it will take some time. Let me check after some time. Meanwhile, we'll go and discuss about the remaining concepts. Meanwhile, we'll discuss about. So this is what is meant by unmanaged, unmanaged. So by default, it is an unmanaged. We need to make it as what? Managed. While making as managed, there are some rules we need to follow. Just follow them. And next, how to add the users to the environment, guys. How we need to add the users to the environment. Once if you create an environment, we create one environment called dev. How to add that users to the environment. If you want to add the users to the environment, go to what? Admin center. Go to what? Environment. Select what? Select the environment. Go to the settings, and then users plus permissions. Add the user. So let me go and navigate that. Go to the development environment. Select the environment. Go to the settings. There is an option called users and permissions. Select this one, and then there is an option called users. Select the users. So there are only one user is there right now. It is myself. So if you want to add the users means you can add the users. So there is an option called add users. Select the add users. Enter the username. Let's take I want to add one user called Sunil Kumar. Select the user. Go and click on what? Add. So when I click on add, it will go on while going to add that user. We need to assign that one role for that user. So in the environment level, there are different roles will be there, guys. One is basic role. Environment level, there is the basic role, and there is one more. Let me scroll down. environment maker role. One more is environment maker. I think there is one more will be there. Let me scroll down. System administrator and system customizer. So these are the different roles we'll have. So among these roles, what's the least privileged role is basic role. So if you assign the role as basic, then the user just view it. They can view it and use it. They are not able to do any development. Or if you go and give the access as a maker role, environment maker role, environment maker, he can develop. He can develop the things like creating the app, adding the data sources. These things they can do. Only development. Next, when I go and give the access for a customizer, the next one you can give as what? System customizer. He can go and create the environments. App maker is not able to create the environment, guys, but system customizer can go and create the environment. He can create a solution. What's meant by solution, you'll understand in the next class. Some environment creation, solutions creations, he can do it. System admin means he has all the privileges. He is the admin, so he can give any role. So let me go and select here for now. Most of the times we'll go with the maker role in the real-time scenarios. Environment maker role. If you want to allow them for only development part, environment maker role. Or if you want to allow that user to create the environments, I means we'll select the system customizer role. For now, go with the environment role, guys. I'll go with the environment role. Click on save. So only the following roles will be assigned to the Sunil Kumar. Do you want to change? No. So it is selecting the two roles, environment maker and system administrator. Save it. So I'm adding one new user. Refresh it once. So here's the user I'm adding. If you want to check the roles, you can go and check here. So you can see what roles we assign to them. What is environment maker role, and second one is what? System customizer role. These are the two roles I assigned. Like this, we can go and add the users to the environment. This is the one way you can add it, or go to the environments, select the environment called dev, and from here there is an option called users. You can go and add it from here also. When you select the users, directly it will navigate you to this page. Sunil Kumar is there. If you want to add another one more user, you can add. So like this, you can go and add the users to the environment. And next, as we discussed about admin role, maker role, and few more roles we discussed about what? System administrator, maker, basic role, and one more is what? System customizer. System customizer. These are the different roles we'll have. Admin means full control. Maker can do what? He can create, he can share, not able to delete, not able to add the admin space, even not able to create the environment. Basic role means he can just view. He can just view. Customizer will do what? He can create, share, delete, update, and also he can create what? Environments also. He can create the environment, and also he can create the solutions. What's meant by solutions, you'll understand the next class tomorrow. So these are the different roles we'll have. Fine. And next, recovery. So how to recover the environments, case? So let's take, there is one environment we created. Let me go to the environments. There is one environment called dev. Let's take, there is one name test. Let me remove this test environment. Once if you want to remove, go and click on delete, case. Once if you delete that environment, let's say I want to remove this environment. Once if you remove the environment, click on confirm. So the test environment is going to be deleted. It is going to delete now. Once if you remove the environment, any environment it is, so you can recall those environments within 7 days. Today you deleted. Within 7 days, you can go and recover that environment. How to recover means, once the environment is deleted, there is an option called recently deleted environments. Go to the recently deleted environments, and here, just at the beginning of the session, I deleted this environment, right? You can see the deleted environments here. You can go and select this and click on what? Recover. When I click on recover, that whatever the things you did in this environment, automatically then you are able to get into where? In the environment section. So this is what, how to go and recover the environment. To recover, go to the recent deleted, select the environment, click on recover here, or you can go to the ellipses, click on recover here. Automatically it will recover that environment. This is what, how to go and recover the environments. And next, there is one more point you need to understand about connectors, one of the important topic. So what is the use of this connectors, case? Connectors are used to connect to the data sources. Connectors are used to what? Connect to the data sources from Power Apps. So from the Power Apps, if you want to connect to the data sources, we'll go and use the connectors. So Power Apps can connect to almost all the data sources. Data sources means what? SharePoint, Dataverse, SQL, Oracle, Excel, CSV files. These are called as data sources. One of the data source we discussed about SharePoint. So from Power Apps, if you want to connect to the SharePoint, we are using what? Connectors. So in the connectors, there are two types of connectors is there. One is standard, second is premium. Standard connectors are free. You don't want to pay any amount to the Microsoft. Those are free of cost. You can use them. Whereas premium connectors, these are paid. You need to have the premium license, guys. Any one of the licenses, either per app plan, premium plan, pay as any license, you need to have to connect to premium connectors. Let me show you those. Let me go to the Power Apps. Let me go to the default environment. I'll show you here, as already there is some apps is there. When I go to this, let me go and open any app. As we know that if you want to connect to the data sources from Power Apps, we need to go and use something called connectors. Let it open. So let's say when I go to this data, from here you can go and click on add data. These are all the connectors. Click on connectors. When I click on connectors, these are all the different connectors you can see. When I click on see all connectors, these are all the different connectors. So all these are connectors. Now see in those wherever these are all the connectors. In those connectors, if you see an option here called diamond icon, if you see an icon called diamond icon, that means these connectors are premium connectors. These are the premium. If you want to connect to these data sources, we need to have what license? Premium license. But when I go and search for SharePoint, when I go and search for the SharePoint is not a premium connector, guys. Now see, for SharePoint, there is no diamond icon. That means it is not a premium connector. When I go and search for the Excel, when I go and search for the Excel online business, it is also not a premium connector. It's also not a premium connector. When I go and search for the email or Gmail, Gmail is also another connector. Gmail is also not a premium, it is standard. If you go and select OneDrive or Outlook, if you go and select the Outlook, so Outlook is also not a premium connector. These are the standard connectors. If it is a premium, you can see this icon. So as I said that there are two types of connectors will be there. One is standard, second is premium. Standard connectors, you don't want to pay any amount. It is free of cost. You can just make use of them. Whereas premium connectors, we need to pay license based on the which license you are using. We need to pay that license amount to them. So whatever the license it is, either E5, E3, per app, per user, pay as you go. Any license if you are using, if you are connecting to premium connectors, then you need to have the premium licenses. And also, if you see here, one of the data source, SQL Server. I think most of you people know it. SQL Server is what source? Premium connector. So that's why I'm not connecting to the SQL here, guys. In our classes, I am not taking the SQL, means it's a premium connector. That's why I'm not showing this. So most of the times, in real-time scenarios, 70 to 80% of the projects will go with the SharePoint only. So no, don't want to bother about it. You can take the help from Google how to come to the different types of data sources. Google will give some references. Just follow them. Fine. So this is all about what's meant by connectors. What the different types of connectors will have. What is the use of connectors in Power Platform? Fine. Let me stop here today. This is all about what is the different types of licenses we'll have. What is meant by environment? What are the different types of environments we'll have? What is meant by unmanaged environment? What is meant by managed environment? And how to add the users to the environment? What are the different roles we'll have? How to recover that environment? What are called as connectors? Let me stop here now.